The first time Sarah Paulson saw herself fully transformed, staring back from the mirror, she didn't see an actress anymore. She saw a ghost, a presence, a woman whose name still sends chills through true crime history. "It was startling to see myself for the first time," she admitted quietly. "And at the same time I thought, oh, there she is." In that moment, Aileen Wuornos wasn't a role. She was alive again. And that's when Monster became something far more terrifying than a television series. When the first images of Sarah Paulson on set surfaced, the internet froze. Gone was the polished red carpet regular. Gone was the familiar elegance audiences associate with her collaborations with Ryan Murphy. Instead, viewers were confronted with a weathered face, sun-damaged skin, heavy-lidded eyes, and a look so raw it felt almost invasive to watch. This was our first glimpse of Sarah Paulson as convicted serial killer Aileen Wuornos for Monster. The Lizzie Borden Story, set to stream on Netflix in 2026, and it was unsettling in the most powerful way. According to those close to the production, this wasn't a half-measured transformation. This was, in Paulson's own words, going all the way. The team didn't aim to make her recognizable. They aimed to make her real. "We really went balls out," she said, describing the physical toll of embodying a woman whose life was defined by violence, trauma, and public infamy. The result is a performance that already feels destined to dominate conversations long before its release. The physical transformation alone tells a brutal story. The cracked skin, the harsh texture, the tired eyes that look like they've seen too much and slept too little. This isn't costume makeup, it's character archaeology. The legendary makeup artist, Tony G., known for his groundbreaking work on Planet of the Apes and Grinch, meticulously designed the look using archival images of Aileen Wuornos herself. Latex was applied around the eyes to make them heavier, droopier, more worn. The skin was textured to look sun-beaten and aged beyond its years. Every detail was intentional. Every flaw was earned. For Sarah Paulson, the transformation didn't bother her. In fact, she welcomed it. She understood that Aileen Wuornos was not meant to be comfortable to look at. Wuornos, who was executed in 2002, was convicted of murdering 7 men while working as a street prostitute in Florida. Her story is one of rage, desperation, trauma, and a deeply fractured sense of survival. To soften that reality would be dishonest, and dishonesty has no place in a story like this. "I'm the real deal," Paulson said bluntly during production. All right? That statement wasn't arrogance. It was commitment. She knew this role demanded everything. Emotionally, physically, psychologically. "You don't take on a project like this and go in only 50%, she explained. "If you're going to do it, you have to go all the way. And that level of immersion comes at a cost." The legacy of Aileen Wuornos is already heavy. She was famously portrayed by Charlize Theron, who won an Academy Award for her unrecognizable performance in the 2003 film Monster. That portrayal set a nearly impossible standard. Any actress stepping into Wuornos' shoes would automatically face comparisons. But Sarah Paulson isn't trying to repeat history. She's trying to interrogate it. Where Theron focused on Wuornos' humanity and inner turmoil, Paulson appears ready to explore the psychological horror of living. Inside, a woman constantly pushed to the edge. The dialogue surrounding Wuornos has always been complicated. She once said, "People kill each other every day. For politics, for religion, and they're heroes." It's a chilling justification, one that forces audiences to confront uncomfortable questions about violence, power, and whose stories we choose to sympathize with. Monster. The Lizzie Borden story doesn't promise easy answers. Instead, it dares viewers to sit with the discomfort. Paulson has openly acknowledged how frightening the material is. "It's such incredible material," she said, "but at the same time, it's quite frightening." She knew from the moment she said yes that the journey would be a hard one. Once she began studying images of Wuornos, once she saw the reality of the woman behind the headlines, she realized drastic measures would be necessary, not just physically, but emotionally. This isn't Sarah Paulson's first collaboration with Ryan Murphy. The two have worked together on more than a dozen projects, building a creative partnership rooted in trust and fearlessness. From American Horror Story to The People v. O.J. Simpson, Murphy has repeatedly pushed Paulson into emotionally brutal territory, and she has always delivered. But even by their standards, this project is extreme. Interestingly, this isn't Ryan Murphy's first time revisiting Aileen Wuornos' story. Paulson's American Horror Story co-star Lily Rabe previously portrayed the killer during American Horror Story Hotel. That version leaned into stylization and surrealism. This time, however, Monster aims for raw realism. No distance, no glamour, just truth, however ugly it may be. One of the most haunting aspects of Wuornos' story is the ongoing debate surrounding her victims. While she claimed self-defense, most of the men she killed had no documented history of violence or assault. This contradiction has fueled decades of controversy. Paulson doesn't attempt to resolve that debate. Instead, she steps inside Wuornos' perspective. "I don't know their history," she said. "I only know who they were on that day. And on that day, they were who they were." That line alone reveals the psychological tightrope Paulson is walking. She isn't asking the audience to excuse Wuornos' actions. She's asking them to understand how Wuornos justified them to herself. And that distinction is what makes the performance so dangerous and so compelling. As cameras rolled on Monster, the Lizzie Borden story, insiders described Paulson as completely locked in. Minimal breaks, emotional isolation, a level of focus that bordered on obsessive. This wasn't method acting for publicity. It was survival within a role that threatens to consume anyone who approaches it lightly. For Netflix, the stakes couldn't be higher. The Monster anthology has already proven its power to dominate global conversations. Each season dissects infamous figures through a prestige drama lens, blurring the line between entertainment and historical reckoning. With Sarah Paulson at the center, expectations are sky high, and fearfully so. What does this mean for Sarah Paulson's career? It may redefine it. She's already respected, already decorated, but this role positions her in rare territory, the kind reserved for performances that haunt audiences long after the credits roll, the kind that changes how an actor is perceived forever. And for the public, this series forces a confrontation with the darker corners of American mythology. Aileen Wuornos has been labeled many things: monster, victim, feminist symbol, psychopath, monster. The Lizzie Borden story doesn't promise to choose a side. Instead, it opens the door and lets viewers decide what they're willing to face. As anticipation builds for its 2026 release, one thing is already clear. This transformation isn't about shock value. It's about truth, about commitment, about an actress willing to disappear completely to tell a story that still makes people uncomfortable decades later. So when you see Sarah Paulson on screen and feel unsettled, when her eyes linger a second too long, when her silence feels louder than dialogue, remember this wasn't an accident. This was intentional. This was immersive. This was a descent. And when Monster, the Lizzie Borden story, finally hits Netflix, viewers won't just be watching a performance. They'll be witnessing a reckoning. That's not just television. That's the tea.